Jnanatimarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Throughout my teaching career, there have been several themes that have been repeatedly stated. Several themes. And once a person is no longer here, if you want to understand what was the gist, what was the essence of who they were and what they were all about, look at the themes. Look at the themes. Look at the things that they say again and again in writing, in words, and especially what they emphasize, not merely in the number of times that they said it, but the emphasis with which they said it. One of the themes that I'm known for talking about is very specifically the theme of leadership. The theme of how, up until very recently, the world has been devoid of leaders. There haven't been leaders. There have been a multitude of individuals who wanted to be leaders. You see, that never ends. Death and taxes and people who want to lead. That never ends. But qualified leaders ceased to exist up until recently. That's something that I've repeated in many different contexts to many different people over the years. We have been lacking leaders. And of course, what is meant by a leader? An individual who personifies. Do you want an interesting definition of a leader? One that you'll never hear anywhere else. A leader is one who personifies what they are leading. If they're leading a nation, they personify the people of that nation and the spirit of the people of that nation. They are a spiritual leader. They personify Dharma. They personify what it means to breathe Dharma, and on and on. What it means to lead is to personify, not merely to be charismatic, not merely to be a really, really good strategist. Play 5D chess. See, the evil people can play chess too. But rather what it means to be a leader is that you personify that which you are attempting to do, that which you claim that you are leading. You personify the goal. You personify the things of importance. That is the essence of who you are. The reason why I bring this up is because today we are celebrating the appearance day of Lord Sri Rama. Rama was many things. Many, many things. First and foremost, of course, he was an avatar. He was a divine descent. He was quite literally that being who is the source of all reality, but come upon the earth in such a manner that we could relate to him. And having done so out of his mercy and his grace alone. That's the first thing that Lord Rama is. He was an avatar. He came here very specifically, like all the avatars, in one way or another, to uphold Dharma. He came here to fight adharma. And he came here to protect his devotees. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya taratmanam shrijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma sangsta panartaya sangbhavami yuge yuge. Krishna, another fellow avatar. It's a small club of avatars. Like you think the club of presidents is small, the club of avatars is smaller. As Krishna, one other avatar, explained, this is why God descends upon the earth. He descends upon the earth for several reasons, but really these are the three primary reasons. To uphold Dharma, number one. Number two, Vinashaya Dushkritam. Vinashaya Dushkritam. Another mini theme that I repeat again and again. which is right there in our face in the Bhagavad Gita, and yet very few people emphasize this, even though it comes out of the mouth of Lord Krishna himself. Vinashaya, to annihilate, not to chastise, not to teach, not to reform. To annihilate. That's what Vinashaya means. Dushkritam. Dushkritam. Evildoers. Demonic individuals. Dush from duhu, meaning bad, that which is bad, that which is evil. Kritam, doers. This is the second reason why he comes, is to annihilate evil, to destroy adharma, to find those individuals in society who are beyond demonic. They are the source of suffering for untold millions of people in the world. People suffering, millions of people suffering from depression, suffering from meaninglessness, suffering from having to struggle through life, and they don't even know that their suffering is caused by dushkritam. A tiny number of individuals in society who have power over their lives and enjoy making others suffer. That's dushkritam. So when Krishna says, Vinashaya dushkritam, I come to annihilate such people, he's not joking. These people deserve annihilation because they are that evil. They make millions suffer. And many of those people suffering don't even know what the source of their suffering is. But it's individual humans. And then finally, why does he come? He comes for the sake of his devotees. In some cases, people will interpret this as to protect his devotees. Yes, that's true, certainly. But that's a negation, to protect. To protect is to stop, merely to stop suffering. Devotees, Vaishnavas, go a little bit deeper. We understand that he comes not merely for that negative purpose of protecting his devotees from evil, but positively also. The reason why God comes upon the earth is because there is a silent chorus in history at that time within the hearts of his devotees praying for his darshana. There is a silent chorus literally emanating from the hearts of his devotees praying, please God, let me see you. Let me have your darshana. And that's why he comes. More than anything, is to satisfy his devotees. This is why God comes upon the earth. This is why the impossible happens. This is why there is a rupture in reality. This is why that being who is infinite seemingly makes himself finite. This is why this being who is beyond the senses makes himself accessible to our senses. This is why God comes upon the earth, his creation, is for these reasons. One such instant in history of such an avatar, of such a rupture in reality, was when Lord Rama came here, 1.8 million years ago. That's when he came. He came in the Treta Yuga, a very, very long time ago. He came at a time when things were actually so much better than they are now that it's hard for us to conceive. We can conceptually understand some things, but it wasn't quite the golden age. It was one age past Satya Yuga, which was truly the golden age. This was the Treta Yuga, one age after. But things still were so wonderful that it was just truly amazing. Still, he had to come. Still, he had to come, because as wonderful as things were, there was still the presence of evil in the world, in the form of demonic beings, Ravana being only one of them, Ravana being their chief. And this is why he came 1.8 million years ago. Rama was an avatar. As I was saying previously, he was many things. He was an avatar. But more, he was the personification of Dharma, and specifically dharmic governance, what it means to be a Dharma leader. This is his special place in history. And that is why to this very day, individuals who consider themselves devotees of Lord Rama, certainly all Vaishnavas, and even just Hindus in general, again, there are 1 billion approximately Hindus in the world, of every persuasion. Some very religious, some not religious at all. Some Vaishnavas, some Shaivas, some Shaktas, etc., etc. Some followers of Vishishta Advaita or Dvaita, Achinta Bheda Abheda, various philosophical systems. But one thing that they are all united in is that if we want to have a living image of what it means to be a perfect leader in Dharma, there is one person who you look to, and that is Rama, as an example. This is why there is an entire important, very important Vedic scripture written about only one thing, Rama and his example. That is known as the Ramayana. Ramayana. Very, very important scripture written by Valmiki a very, very long time ago. And when we read this book, 24,000 verses of the Ramayana, what we see is precisely this. We see a story, a true story, written by Valmiki himself, one of the greatest of rishis, one of the greatest of sages. And in this story, what we see is this individual who appears upon the earth. We see his life as a child. We see his life growing up. We see his life as a teenager and already a warrior and a leader and a king, and protecting the sages. Quite literally protecting the sages, as the sages are trying to do yagyas, not just sages, rishis trying to do yagyas, and demonic beings keep attacking and attacking. They ask Rama's father, please send Rama to us to protect us. How significant. Again, rakshamam, rakshamam, to protect. And what we see is, as a teenager, Lord Rama comes with his brother Lakshman, and with their bow and arrows, they annihilate these demonic beings, and the rishis are left at peace. This was early on in his life, again, as a teenager, 14, 15, 16 years old, something like that. And this is a precursor for what is to come. How Rama is precisely going to be a protector, not just for this small group of rishis. Again, this is just the precursor. But later on, for the earth herself, for the entire earth. Rama is the perfect king. Actually, let me start from the beginning. He is the perfect child. He is the perfect son. He is the perfect king. He is the crest jewel of the Surya Vangsha, of the solar dynasty. He is the crest jewel of the solar dynasty that goes back to Surya himself and that exists still to this day. This royal, mysterious dynasty of Rajarshis, of individuals who rule the earth in accordance with Dharma. If you want to see that being who is literally the crest jewel, the most important jewel of the Surya Vangsha, then you look at Rama, because this is his lineage. He serves as the perfect king, he serves as the perfect son, he serves as the perfect husband, he serves as the perfect father. This is who he is. When Rama comes, of course, he does not come alone, because Rama, being an avatar of Narayana, well, wherever Narayana is, Shriman also must be. Therefore, Shriman Narayana. So wherever there is Narayana, there also must be Lakshmi. So Lakshmi also appears on earth in the form of
Sita.
Very good, Sita Devi. And they are perfect consorts. They are quite literally, in fact, to say that they are born to be together is putting it lightly, because they were together, of course, for an eternity previous to their descent upon this earth and coming in avatar form. But wherever there is Rama, there is Sita. Wherever there is Sita, there is Rama, and there is no distinction between the two. They are the same. How in their earthly pastimes they come together is a very interesting story. And we have to distinguish between earthly pastimes versus what is the reality of who they are. Of course, again, they're inseparable. But in order to display their lila upon the earth, of course they have to go through experiences where they seem to be like normal people, and for a little while, seemingly, Sita is in one kingdom and Rama is in another kingdom. And to make a long story short, the story is that it is time for Sita to have a proper husband, someone who is of royal birth, someone who is of royal lineage, etc., because she herself is destined to be a queen. And her parents decide, well, let's have a contest. There is this bow that is unstringable. There's a bow, it's massive. Most people can't even pick it up. Usually you need to have a team of people to even lift it from its base. It's so big, it's so heavy. And there's the string, separate. The bow is so strong and so powerful, no one has been able to take the string. And you see, to string a bow, you have to take the bow and you have to bend it, and then you hook the string onto there. And then it's really taut like that. No one can bend it to even get the string on. So the father of Sita says, all right, we'll have a contest. Let's invite all of the royal princes. And let's say whoever can string this bow can ask Sita for her hand. See, even then she has to give permission. They may be able to do that, but it's not that, oh, just by doing that they get to marry her. No, even then she has to say, oh, all right, I will marry you. So princes come from throughout the realm, from everywhere, from all over the four corners actually of the earth. They even came from the Americas. They came from everywhere. And no one could lift it. No one could lift the bow, what to speak of string it. These powerful, powerful princes, these kshatriyas, these warriors, with muscles bigger than most people's heads, they came, and what to speak of stringing it, what to speak of bending it, they couldn't even lift it. And of course Rama hears about this and he decides, oh yes, I'm of course going to marry Sita. No one else is going to marry Sita, so I'll go and I'll do it. And he comes, and to tremendous fanfare, everyone knows who he is. He is the Prince of Ayodhya. He is the person who is destined to be not just Raja, but Maharaja. He's the person who is destined to be king over all of them. And they welcome him with great fanfare. And very nonchalantly, with complete humility, without making a show, he goes up to the bow, and with one hand he picks it up, he puts it down, and he starts to bend it. And he grabs the string, and he puts the string on, but he bends it a little bit too far, and the bow breaks in the middle. And it's said that the sound is so loud that all the princes had to cover their ears, and some of them jumped out of windows to save themselves from the sound alone of that bow breaking, from the effortless action of Rama, bending it with one hand. And at that point, as he's holding the broken bow in his hand, Sita comes up to him with a garland of flowers and puts it on him and says, Pati, you are my husband. And they are together from then on, and inseparable. Well, to make a long story short, you can read the Ramayana yourself. It's 24,000 verses. There are a few very good editions. I have the very best edition, the best translation downstairs in my library. It's a 3-volume edition in English that is very beautifully written, very beautifully translated. I can't think of the name of the author right now. But to make a long story short, Rama is unjustly sent into exile, even though he's meant to become the king of Ayodhya. And again, long story, which I won't tell. You can read the story yourself. But very unjustly, he's sent into exile, and he doesn't protest, because his father begrudgingly asks him, says, yes, son, I'm sorry, but you have to go into exile because my wife has ordered this, and I offered her a boon because she saved my life, that she could ask me anything and I could not refuse. And she asked me this. And it was not Rama's mother. It was a different wife. different wife who wanted her own son to become king. So she finally used that boon with the king, and she said, all right, this is what I finally ask of you, having saved your life on a battlefield many years ago. I want you to exile Rama for 14 years. But he had no choice. He took a vow that whatever you ask me, I will give you, because you saved my life. And this is what she asks. And her son, Bharata, who she wanted to be king, was so faithful to Rama. See, everyone loved Rama, to the point where he said to his own mother, you did this to Rama? You did this so that I would be king? What have you done? I will never be king. I am going to take the shoes of Rama and I'm going to place them on the throne until he returns as the rightful king. You made a mistake, mother. You should not have done this. And her son would not rule. He took the shoes of Rama and placed them on the throne, and that's where they remained for 14 years until Rama finally returns to become king. But in the meantime, Rama is in exile. Now the rule is Sita did not have to go with him. They have very strict rules about such things. Rama was sent into exile. Sita did not have to go. Of course she went. And what does this mean? These people are royalty. They're accustomed to living in palaces. They're accustomed to having hundreds and maybe thousands of servants. They're accustomed to everything being taken care of them. Their food, their clothes, everything. They're accustomed to having wealth, having the most beautiful clothing, etc. And now they find themselves having to go not just into exile, but in a forest. They literally had to live in little huts in the forest, traveling around, eating whatever they could find, etc. And Sita, of her own free will, goes with Rama, as does Rama's other brother, Lakshman. So this is why very often when you read the Ramayana, through much of the Ramayana, much of it takes place during the exile, and you'll see Rama, Sita, and Lakshman together, traveling and having different adventures. And again, a beautiful story. Read it when you have a chance, please. And I mean seriously read it. Don't go to like Wikipedia and read the 5-minute version. I mean read the Ramayana. It puts even Lord of the Rings, which I adore, to shame in how beautiful it describes everything. Nature and the flowers and the birds they encounter and the sacred groves where they sleep at night before getting up to then continue traveling. It is a very beautiful book. But they have many adventures, including one of which is this. And I'll tell this because it's very nice, because we all understand the concept of prasad. We all understand the concept of offering food to God. And of course, when you offer food to God, you have to be very strict. Obviously, it has to be vegetarian, but more than this, you can't taste it. You can't enjoy it before you offer it. Well, they encountered an old woman who lived in a hut. And she had a very interesting practice where she had her altar. And on the altar, she had, of course, murtis of Lakshmi Narayana. And every day, very specifically, because she didn't have a lot, she would pick grapes. And she would offer these on her altar. But she had this habit, this practice, that before she actually offered them, she would take a bite. You're not supposed to do that. Well, one day, Sita, Rama, and Lakshman encounter this woman and they visit her. And she is ecstatic beyond words because she is a devotee. She understands who this is. She understands that the very person who she's been worshipping on her altar for all of her life is now there in the form of Rama before her. And she begins in her own humble way to worship Rama, to offer prayers. And then she says, "Oh Lord Rama, I want to offer you some grapes." And she brings some grapes and she takes one and she takes a bite and then she offers it. And Lakshman becomes outraged. "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you eating it first? You're not supposed to do that. That's extremely bad etiquette." And Rama stops him. And he says, no, ask her why she's doing this. See, Rama knew her heart. And Rama tells his own brother, ask her why she's doing this. And Lakshman is, of course, shocked. Oh, okay, why are you doing that? And she says, well, with grapes, some of them taste wonderful, some of them are sour. Some of them aren't quite ready, they're not ripe. So before I offer, I make sure that I'm offering the best ones and only the best ones, the sweetest ones, to my Lord. That's why I give a little taste first, and when I find the best ones, then I offer them. And Lakshman looks at Rama as if, oh, how did you know that? And Rama looks at Lakshman. Do you understand now? And he turns to the old woman. Please give me some of your grapes. And he eats them. Such is the nature of Rama. Such is the nature of God, that if out of pure love and devotion you even go against some of the mini rules like this, but you're doing it quite literally out of devotion, the Lord will still accept. Because what does he care about? Does he care about really the little rules and regulations, or does he care about your love for him? He cares about love more than anything. So that's why, even if you have a little transgression, but you're doing it not out of egotism, not out of selfishness, not out of materialism, but because you so absolutely love God that for you, the material reality does not even exist. And all that there is devotion. That's what God sees. Imagine being in such a state where you're this old woman and you taking this bite first to make sure that it's a good grape before you offer. Imagine the mindset of someone for who the material world and its rules and regulations and its dualities really don't even exist for you. Other people in ignorance will observe you and say, oh, what is she doing? What she is doing is being so transcendental that the material world is just non-existent. And all that there is her devotion. So, again, to make a long story short, you'll hear me repeat this many times because it's a 24,000 verse, very long story. After years in exile, of course, Ravana, this Rakshasa, this king of the Rakshasas, this very demonic individual, hears about the beauty of Sita Devi and decides to kidnap her. This is the story. He kidnaps her. At first, Lord Rama doesn't know where she is. And this is, for me, when I read this, actually, this was, for me, one of the most poignant aspects of the entire Ramayana, was that when Sita was gone from Rama and he did not know what in the world happened. Did she leave me? Is she dead? Did she get kidnapped? What happened? Did a black hole suddenly open and suck her in? She's gone. I don't know where she is. It describes the state of God's heart and how God himself became void. How God himself was in such grief that nothing mattered to him anymore. What does it mean for this to happen to God? That his consort is gone, his other half is gone, and God is in grief, wandering the forest, calling out to her, and not receiving an answer. What does it mean for God to be in grief? We see this in the Ramayana, and it's inconceivable. But then eventually, he discovers what happened, that this demonic king of Lanka kidnapped her and has been trying to persuade her for a year to marry him. And of course she says no and no and no. And at this point, Rama realizes, all right, now it's time to go to war. And he raises alliances with many different people, many different tribes in South India. And they decide to build a bridge to Lanka from the southernmost tip of India to Sri Lanka, approximately 90 miles or so. And they build a bridge of stone and rock, and these hundreds and thousands of massive warriors come and they grab these boulders and they throw them in and they throw them in and they throw them into the water, extending little by little by little to Lanka. And Rama Setu, this is called Rama's Bridge. Google it, look it up, you will see satellite images of it. It still exists. It's broken in parts because it's 1.8 million years old, but it's still there. You can see it from space. And everyone, archaeologists, architects, historians, they don't know what to make of this. Atheists are quite literally looking at the work of God, and they don't know what to say about it. Well, wait a minute. This mythological book called the Ramayana talks about how this bridge made of stone was created between India and Lanka. Ha ha! Oh, this mythology. Oh, wait, we have satellites now. What is that? And you can literally see it. It's quite literally the work of God laughing in the face of atheists. And they don't know what to say. And it's still there. But what is the story that I'm going to tell now? We all know the story, and it doesn't matter. This is the nature of Divya Katha, of divine stories, is that you can hear them again and again and again and again. And we never get tired of hearing such stories. On the contrary, you don't want to know how many times I have heard some of these stories in the course of my life. And I want to hear them again, and I want to say them again. But as the army of Rama are building this bridge of boulders and rocks and the tops of mountains, quite literally, Hanuman went to a few mountains and he chopped off the top of them and literally flying brought them and hurled them in the tops of mountains in order to complete this bridge. As all this construction is going on, Hanuman is there, and he sees, what? A spider. He sees this little spider. And what is this little spider doing? It's taking little pebbles, and it's going from the land and taking a little pebble and going to the edge where the water is and throwing it in, and then going back and doing that again and again. And at first, the spider is so small, Hanuman does not even notice it. But then, after a while, he's watching. What is the spider doing? And he talks to the spider, because it was the Treta Yuga, and you could speak to animals back then. And animals could speak to you. That was the Treta Yuga. And he says to the little spider, what are you doing? And the spider, in his little squeaky voice, says, I'm helping to build Rama's bridge. I'm throwing these pebbles in. It's going to contribute to the bridge. And Hanuman starts to laugh and laugh. And he makes fun of the spider, and he says to the spider, oh, spider, what are you doing? Do you see what we're doing here? We're throwing boulders in. We have mighty warriors with massive muscles and strength that is otherworldly. It's not like human strength. They can take boulders by themselves, some of them as big as a house, and throw them in. And you're just throwing little pebbles in. You're not helping. Look, little spider, I know you mean well, but you're going to get hurt. One of us is going to step on you. Please, go away. Meantime, Hanuman doesn't know that Rama is within earshot. And Rama comes there, and he chastises Hanuman. And he says, Hanuman, I know you mean well, but this spider is doing as much as you are, because he's doing what he is doing out of devotion to me. And for me, His little pebbles that he's throwing in, it's just as important as a massive boulder as big as a house, because this little spider has love for me. Don't chastise him. And with that, Hanuman offers his pranams to Lord Rama, and he looks at the spider, and he offers his apologies and his respects to the spider. And the spider looks at Hanuman, and he says, "No problem." And he keeps putting his, he keeps throwing the pebbles in. And that was his contribution. You know, it's interesting. I've never said this, but I often think about this. What I was saying a little while ago about all these scientists who now, of course, they know that bridge is there. They've actually gone there. They've tried to excavate parts of it. And I've often thought to myself, if one of these stupid atheistic scientists in their little excavations of Rama Setu, they could actually find one of those pebbles that little spider threw in, they would be holding in their hands one of the most sacred objects on earth. I would give anything to have one of those little pebbles. So, needless to say, Rama wins the war. Again, long story, very short. He wins. But what was the point? The story was wonderful. The story shows us many, many different things. But overall, the totality of this story, of this epic literature, this itihasa, this epic work, known as the Ramayana, is meant to show us many things, the primary of which, of course, is what it means to have devotion toward God. But one of the other themes that is there is that Rama represents dharmic governance. He represents what it means to have a leader of a nation, a leader of a people who rules perfectly, who rules as a true leader, getting back to the theme that we started talking about when I started this talk, about how we have been, until recently, lacking leaders. Now we're beginning to see some real leaders come upon the scene. Why? Because there's no choice. Because either leaders arise now, or else the world dies. But now we're beginning to see leaders. But what does Rama represent? He represents what it means to be indeed a perfect leader, an individual who, first of all, in his life is a perfect person. A person who, like I said before, represents what it means to be a wonderful dharmic child and husband and brother and father, and then finally ruler over a nation. He rules with complete humility. See, when you see Rama's attitude all throughout the Ramayana, you see someone who he does everything that he needs to do, including being ruler, because eventually he does come out of exile. And I'll end this by just telling that story very quickly, but that'll come in a minute or two. He shows exactly what it means to be an individual who rules with absolute humility, but perfectly, with absolute power, with resoluteness, that he knows what is the dharmic solution for any situation that the nation is facing, and he does that, and resolutely, to the point where nothing, no one can sway him to do the wrong thing. This is what it means to be a dharmic leader. And this is what we are missing today, our dharmic leaders. Again, that's changed now. That's changed now. What is today's date? Is it March 25th, 2018? Is that correct? March 25th, 2018. I'm saying that for the sake of quite literally posterity, because in the future people will see this video, and I want them to remember this date that I'm saying this. Now, finally, we have leaders who are arising. We're seeing them in the nation and throughout the world and more. The camera can't see our people. If you could, you would see them when they were much younger. That's what you would be seeing. But many of the people in this room, other people who could not make it, these are the Dharma leaders of the future. You'll know them when they get older. You'll know them as they get older. Now, finally, such leaders are arising. And for every leader today and in the future, if you wish to know what it means to be Dharma personified, to be a perfect leader, then look at the example of Rama. Read the Ramayana and look at his example. Rama finally wins the war. Ravana, the demonic king, is dead, is killed. Vinashaya dushkritam. Vinashaya dushkritam. This dushkrita, this evildoer, is killed, is annihilated. And finally, the exile is over, and Sita and Rama return to Ayodhya. And how do they return? There is a vimana, there is a flying vehicle, and they sit on it, and it's in the form of a throne, and it begins to levitate and to hover above the ground and to go to fly toward Ayodhya. And all the residents of Ayodhya know what's happening. They understand. They have been counting the seconds for this exile to be over and for their king to return. For their true king, their true leader, who they have loved since he was born. They are waiting for him for 14 years to come back. And they know now is the time. He's coming. He's coming. And it's nighttime, unfortunately, when the exile is over. And it's dark. And out of respect for their true king, for Lord Rama, they want Rama to see Ayodhya. They want him to return. So what do? They take lamps. They take lamps by the millions, and they set them up all throughout the city, on every ledge, on every pedestal, on every roof, anywhere where there is a surface. They set up these deepas, they set up these lamps everywhere. To the point where you can see Ayodhya now from the heavens. Quite literally, the gods can see Ayodhya because of all this light. And then finally, in the distance, they see the flying vehicle come with Sita and Rama. And all with one voice, all the residents of Ayodhya and the entire kingdom begin to shout, Jai Sri Rama, Jai Sri Rama, Jai Sri Rama. They begin to shout, victory to Lord Rama, victory to Lord Rama. And then that's echoed in the heavens as the gods begin also to cry out the same thing, Jai Sri Rama, Jai Sri Rama, and begin to sprinkle flower petals from the heavens. So on the ground you have a million lights, and from the heavens, like snow, petals of flowers are falling to the ground as Rama and Sita finally land back in Ayodhya. That's the story. That's who we celebrate today. This is who we celebrate today with Sri Rama Navami. Let us all learn all the invaluable examples that we can learn from the life of Rama, because they are many and they are endless, and we need them today. And everyone together. Jai Sri Rama! Jai Sriman Narayana.